The police came to my door 23 times in 2 months. Every single call. Made by my HOA President, Martinez. But the noise complaints were just the beginning of her plan to steal my $350,000 home. I should have known something was wrong the day Karen knocked on my door with that clipboard and those cold, calculating eyes behind her red-framed glasses. It was April 2024. I'd just moved into Harmony Heights, a quiet suburban community in Phoenix, Arizona. The neighborhood seemed perfect, tree-lined streets, well-maintained homes, friendly neighbors waving from their porches. I'd saved for 7 years to buy my modest 3-bedroom house, and I was finally living the American dream. Karen Martinez stood on my doorstep, her blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked painful, wearing her signature red blazer like a uniform. She was the HOA president, and she wanted to welcome me to the neighborhood. "Mr. Chen," she said, not bothering with a smile, "I'm here to ensure you understand our community standards. Harmony Heights maintains very strict noise ordinances." I nodded politely. "Of course. I work from home as a software engineer, so I'm pretty quiet." Her eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." That should have been my first warning. Week 1. The campaign begins. The first noise complaint came 3 days later. I was on a video conference call at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Normal working hours, normal speaking volume. My doorbell rang mid-sentence, and I excused myself to answer it. 2 police officers stood outside. "Sir, we received a noise complaint from your HOA," the older officer said, looking somewhat embarrassed. "Apparently, you're violating quiet hours." "Quiet hours? It's 2 in the afternoon." The officer shrugged. "According to the complaint, you were shouting and disturbing the peace." I explained I was on a work call, speaking at normal volume. The officers walked around my house, found nothing, and left with apologies. But they had to respond to every complaint that was protocol. Karen was watching from her window across the street, phone in hand. She waved. Week 2. Escalation. The complaints became daily. 7 a.m. Loud music. I was listening to NPR at barely audible volume while making coffee. 3 p.m. Power tools. I was typing on my laptop. 9 p.m. Disruptive party. I was watching Netflix alone with subtitles on. Each time, the police came. Each time, they found nothing. Each time, Karen was watching. The HOA fines started arriving. $25 per violation. Even though the police found no evidence, Karen's complaints were considered sufficient for fines under the HOA bylaws. I called her. "Karen, this has to stop. I'm not making noise. The police have confirmed that 12 times now." "Mr. Chen," her voice was ice, "I have extremely sensitive hearing. If I say there's a violation, there's a violation. Pay your fines or face further action." "What further action?" "Say, hung up." Week 3. The pattern emerges. My neighbor, elderly Mr. Roberts, knocked on my door one evening. He looked worried. "Son, I need to tell you something. Karen did this to the previous owner too." "Did what?" "The noise complaints. The fines." It went on for 8 months. The previous owner, nice young couple, they eventually couldn't take it anymore. Sold the house. At a loss, just to escape. Why would she do that? Mr. Roberts glanced around nervously. Karen wanted to buy this property. It's got the biggest lot on the street. Backs up to the community park. She offered them $200,000, way below market value. They refused. Then the complaints started. My blood ran cold. And after they left, Karen tried to buy it again, but the bank sold it through normal channels. To you? Now it made sense. This wasn't about noise. This was about real estate. Month 2, financial warfare. The fines increased. $50, $100, $250. Karen cited obscure HOA bylaws I'd never heard of. Excessive vehicular noise when my car door closed. Disturbance of community peace when I received an Amazon delivery. Unauthorized outdoor activity when I checked my mailbox during quiet hours that weren't listed in any official documentation. I hired Marcus, a real estate attorney. He reviewed my HOA documents. Alex, this is harassment, but it's complicated. HOA bylaws give the board president significant discretionary power. Unless we can prove malicious intent, judges tend to side with HOAs. What about the police report showing no violations? Helpful, but not conclusive. Karen can argue she has heightened sensitivity, different standards, or that violations stopped before police arrived. The fines reached $5,000 total. Karen sent a certified letter. Pay within 30 days, or face foreclosure proceedings. Foreclosure on my home for noise I never made. Month 3. The trap tightens. I stopped making any noise whatsoever. No TV, no music, no phone calls. I communicated with work via text and email only. I wore slippers inside. I walked on carpet. I barely breathed. The complaints continued. Karen reported vibrations from my home, suspicious nocturnal activities, probable construction work. The police stopped apologizing. They knew what was happening, but their hands were tied. One officer, Rodriguez, pulled me aside. Mr. Chen, I've been on 23 calls to your address. We've never found a single violation. But we have to respond every time. I'd suggest documenting everything. I was already documenting. Time-stamped videos of my silent house. Decibel meter readings showing levels below whisper volume. Written logs of every complaint. But Karen had something I didn't. The full weight of HOA authority. The discovery Marcus called me on a Friday evening, his voice urgent. Alex, I found something. I pulled property records for your address, going back 15 years. Karen has filed noise complaints against every single owner, for families before you. Each case followed the same pattern. Complaints, fines, escalation, foreclosure threat. What happened to them? 3 sold at losses. 1 fought and won. But it took 2 years and $50,000 in legal fees. After they finally won, they moved Enowick Udenstand, living across from Karen. And Karen, she bought 2 of those properties after foreclosure sales, below market value. She now owns 3 houses on this street, including the one she lives in. Your property would be number 4. This wasn't harassment. This was a business model. The final notice, the certified letter, arrived on Monday. Final notice of default, total fines, due $8,750. Payment deadline, 15 days failure to pay. Foreclosure proceedings will begin below. Karen's signature was a handwritten note. I did try to warn you about our noise standards. Some people just don't belong in Harmony Heights. K.I. sat in my silent house, surrounded by documentation proving my innocence, and realized documentation might not be enough. Karen had the system. She had experience. She had legal authority as HOA President. And she wanted my home. The meeting, I requested an emergency HOA board meeting. It was my right under the bylaw. The meeting was held in the community center. 7 board members sat behind a table. Karen in the center, red blazer perfectly pressed, red-framed glasses catching the fluorescent light. I presented my evidence. Police reports, decibel readings, time-stamped videos, neighbor testimonies. Karen listened with a slight smile. When I finished, she opened her folder. Mr. Chen presents compelling theater. But facts are facts. I have logged 57 noise violations in 3 months. My documentation is thorough and contemporaneous. The board has full discretion to enforce community standards. The police found nothing. The police, Karen interrupted, are not HOA compliance officers. Their standards and ours differ significantly. The board voted 6-1 to uphold the fines. The one dissenting vote came from Mr. Roberts, who looked like he might cry. As the meeting ended, Karen approached me. You have 14 days remaining. Mr. Chen, I'm prepared to make you an offer. $225,000 for your property. It would cover your fines and give you a fresh start elsewhere. That's $125,000 below market value. She shrugged. Better than foreclosure? You'd lose everything then. The turn I walked to my car in the dark parking lot, defeated. A black Mercedes pulled up beside me. A woman in an expensive suit stepped out. "Mr. Chu, I'm Patricia Morgan, attorney. I've been watching your HOA meetings." She handed me a card. "I represent 4 of Karen's previous targets. We've been building a case for 2 years. A case, RICO, Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Karen isn't just harassing you. She's running a criminal enterprise, using HOA authority as cover. We have evidence she's done this to 14 properties, across 3 neighborhoods. She's made over $2 million." My head spun. Why didn't the others fight back? They did. Individually. And lost. But together, Patricia smiled. "Together, we can end this. But I need you to do something difficult." "What?" "Let her think she's winning. Pay the fines. Make the payments late, so she files foreclosure. We need her to commit to the crime in progress. Then we strike." I looked at Patricia's card, then back at my house, where I could see Karen watching from her window across the street, phone pressed to her ear. "If I do this," I said slowly, "and your plan doesn't work, I lose everything." Patricia nodded. "Yes. But if you don't do this, you lose everything anyway." And Karen moves on to victim number 15. Karen raised her hand across the street. A small wave. A victor's gesture. I had 14 days to decide. Surrender my home to a predator, or risk everything on a stranger's promise of justice. What would you do? Drop a comment below. I had 14 days before Karen foreclosed on my home. But attorney Patricia Morgan had a plan that Karen thinks she's winning while we built a federal RICO case. The trap was set. Now we just had to spring it. I didn't sleep that night. Patricia Morgan's card sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Outside, Karen's house glowed across the street. She always kept every light on, as if illuminating her domain. $2 million. 14 victims. A criminal enterprise hiding behind HOA bylaws and community standards. At 6 a.m., I called Patricia. Tell me what to do." Patricia's instructions were specific and painful. Pay the $8,750 in fines, but pay it in installments. Make the payments irregular. Miss a deadline by 1 day, then pay with a check that takes 3 days to clear. We need her to believe you're struggling financially and psychologically. Why? Because predators escalate when they smell weakness. We need her confident enough to make mistakes. Right now, she's careful. 14 successful operations means she's refined her method. We need her comfortable enough to slip. I wrote the first check. $2,000. I hand-delivered it to Karen's mailbox at 11 p.m., making sure her security camera caught me looking defeated. The next morning, she was at my door. "Mr. Chen." That cold smile. "I'm pleased to see you're taking responsibility, though I notice this is only partial payment. It's all I have right now. I'll pay the rest in installments. The deadline is absolute. 9 days remaining for full payment." "I understand." She leaned closer. Her perfume was expensive, suffocating. "You know, my purchase offer still stands. $225,000. It would end all of this unpleasantness. I'll think about it." As she walked away, I noticed she was recording on her phone, documenting my admission of guilt and financial distress. Perfect. Patricia arranged a meeting at her downtown office. 4 other people sat around the conference table. Karen's previous victims. There was James, a retired teacher who'd lost his home in 2022. Sarah, a single mother who'd been forced to sell at a $100,000 loss in 2023. The Thompsons, an elderly couple who'd spent $40,000 in legal fees fighting Karen before finally. And Marcus Webb, not my attorney Marcus, but another victim who'd beaten Karen in court after 18 months, only to move away from the trauma. "She has a pattern," Patricia explained, pulling up a presentation on the screen. Karen targets specific properties. Corner lots, larger parcels, anything with development potential or premium location. Shooters such as owners, looking for vulnerabilities. "What vulnerabilities?" I asked. James answered, "Single occupants, people new to the area, anyone without deep community roots who might lack support. Sarah added. She also targets people she perceives as other, different ethnicity, younger, working from home, anyone she can frame as not fitting community standards. The Thompsons nodded sadly. She told our neighbors we were running an illegal business from home. We were retired, we did jigsaw puzzles. Patricia clicked through property records, police reports, and HOA documents spanning 8 years. Karen's system has 5 stages. First, selection. She identifies a target property, usually during her welcome visit. Second, provocation. She manufactures an initial complaint to establish a paper trail. Third, escalation. Complaints increase in frequency and severity, while fines multiply. Fourth, isolation. She turns neighbors against targets through whisper campaigns and selective information. Fifth, acquisition. She either buys the property at foreclosure for pennies on the dollar, or her shell company, Harmony Holdings LLC, purchases it from desperate owners. How has she gotten away with this? Primera, Asquith, Marcus Webb, the one who'd beaten her in court, spoke up. Because she's brilliant? Evil, but brilliant. She never breaks any specific law. HOA presidents have enormous discretionary power. Noise complaints are subjective. She documents everything meticulously, and she knows most people can't afford to fight. Until now, Patricia said. Alex, you're victim 14 that we know of, but federal RICO requires proof of an ongoing criminal enterprise, a pattern of racketeering activity. We have the pattern. Now we need the proof of current activity. Your case. I paid another installment, $1,500. Late by 2 days. Karen's response was immediate. A new complaint. Unauthorized structural modifications. She claimed I'd altered my fence without HOA approval. I hadn't touched the fence, but the fine was instant. $500. Then another complaint. Non-compliant landscaping. My lawn was apparently 1/4 inch too long, according to HOA standards. Fine. $350. The police came twice more for noise complaints, both times at 6 a.m., when I was still asleep. Officer Rodriguez looked exhausted. Mr. Chen, I'm required to respond, but this is... He gestured helplessly. Is there anything we can do to help? Actually, yes. Can you make your reports extra detailed? Timestamps, decibel readings, if possible, neighbor interviews. Already doing it. Half the department knows what's happening. We just can't stop it through official channels. The police reports became part of Patricia's evidence file. Karen's whisper campaign began. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, stopped waving. Her daughter told me later that Karen had warned the neighborhood about suspicious activities at my house. Someone spray-painted "move" on my garbage bin. My car was keyed. Karen called the police about that, too, suggesting I'd vandalize my own property for attention. Only Mr. Roberts still spoke to me. He brought me casserole one evening, glancing around nervously. She did this to the others, too, he whispered, turned everyone against them. I'm sorry I can't help more publicly. She controls my HOA dues, my property values. I'm scared of her. I understand. Do you really have a plan? That lawyer? I do. Good! He squeezed my shoulder. Because someone needs to stop her. She's a cancer in this community. Patricia called with updates. We've subpoenaed Karen's financial records through a civil suit from one of the other victims. Her lawyer is fighting it. But we'll win. More importantly, we've identified her pattern of shell company purchases. Harmony Holdings LLC is registered to her nephew, but she's the beneficial owner. What do we do now? Now, you miss the next payment deadline. Let her file foreclosure paperwork. That's when she commits the crime, knowingly filing false foreclosure on manufactured violations. Federal mail fraud, wire fraud, and extortion all in one package. My hands shook. And if something goes wrong, then I defend you in foreclosure court, and we fight the old-fashioned way. But Alex, We have 14 victims, 8 years of patterns, and 2 million in fraudulent transactions. This case is solid. Trust the process. 7 days remaining. I paid nothing. Karen's certified letter arrived. Notice of default and foreclosure proceedings. 3 days remaining. Still nothing. Karen appeared at my door, her smile wider than ever. Mr. Chen, I'm disappointed. We could have resolved this amicably. Now the foreclosure process begins. You'll lose the property, damage your credit, and still owe the HOA fees. Or, I asked, playing my part, or you accept my offer. I'll increase it to $235,000, $10,000 more than before. Your credit stays clean. You walk away. Fresh start. I need to think. No more thinking. Her voice cracked with frustration, the first real emotion I'd seen. You have 48 hours. After that, my offer expires, and foreclosure proceeds. She thrust a purchase agreement into my hands and left. I texted Patricia. She made a written offer. 48 hours. Response, perfect. Don't sign. Let the deadline pass. 24 hours remaining. Karen called 4 times, each voicemail more urgent. Mr. Chen, let's be reasonable. This is your final opportunity. I'm trying to help you. Don't be stupid. Alex. She'd never used my first name before. 12 hours remaining. Patricia filed a federal lawsuit. United States of America v. Karen Martinez, Harmony Heights HOA, and Harmony Holdings LLC. Charges: wire fraud, mail fraud, extortion, RICO conspiracy. The FBI field office in Phoenix received the complaint. At 8 a.m., federal agents arrived at Karen's house. I watched from my window as she answered the door in her red blazer, coffee cup in hand, expecting perhaps another police call to my address. Instead, agents handed her a warrant. Her face went white. They searched her house for 6 hours, removing boxes of documents, hard drives, and files. Her perfectly maintained lawn became a crime scene. At 2 p.m., they arrested her. As they walked her to the federal vehicle in handcuffs, she looked across the street at my house. Our eyes met. For the first time, Karen Martinez looked afraid. The aftermath begins. Patricia called that evening. The FBI found everything. She kept meticulous records of every property, every victim, every transaction. She documented her own crimes because she never thought she'd be caught. What happens now? Federal prosecution moves forward. The HOA board has been suspended pending investigation. An emergency management company will handle HOA operations. Your fines are frozen. And, Alexia, 3 more victims came forward today after seeing the news. We're up to 17 people. Karen's enterprise was even bigger than we thought. I sat in my silent house that night, the same house Karen had tried to steal, and waited for relief to come. It didn't, because that afternoon I'd received an anonymous envelope in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. Karen at a restaurant, smiling at dinner with 3 other women, all wearing red blazers, all looking like they could be HOA presidents. Written on the back in careful handwriting. Karen had partners. They're still operating. You made a very powerful enemy today. Watch your back. I called Patricia immediately. Get to my office. Now, don't tell anyone you're coming. Was Karen just one piece of a larger network? Drop a comment with your theories. Karen was arrested by the FBI. I thought it was over. Then I received an anonymous photo showing Karen with 3 other women in red blazers. The message was clear. Karen had partners, and now they were coming for me. Patricia's office was dark when I arrived at 9 p.m. She met me at a side entrance, looking over my shoulder before letting me in. Show me the photo. I handed her the envelope. She examined it under a lamp, turning it over carefully. This was hand-delivered. In my mailbox. No postage. Someone walked right up to my house. Patricia pulled out her phone and took several photos of the image. For women at an upscale restaurant. Wine glasses raised. all wearing identical red blazers. Karen was second from the left, smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. "When was this taken?" I asked. "Look at the menu board behind them. It says February specials. This was taken 2 months ago, before your case went federal." "Who are the others?" Patricia sat down heavily. "I have a theory, but you're not going to like it." She opened her laptop and pulled up files from the RICO case. "When we investigated Karen's shell company, Harmony Holdings LLC, we found something odd. The company had 5 board members. Karen's nephew was the registered agent, but there were 4 other names, all women, all listed as consultants." She clicked through documents, pulling up driver's license photos. My blood went cold. The 3 women from the restaurant photos stared back at me from official documents. Jennifer Walsh, HOA President of Sunset Meadows, 20 miles north. Dorothy Crane, HOA President of Riverside Estates, 30 miles east. Rebecca Stone, HOA President of Mountain View Commons, 40 miles west. They're all HOA presidents, all in different communities, all following Karen's pattern. I pulled property records for their neighborhoods going back 5 years. She showed me spreadsheets. The numbers were staggering. Jennifer Walsh, 11 properties acquired below market value following noise complaint campaigns. Dorothy Crane, 9 properties, same pattern. Rebecca Stone, 13 properties, including 1 seized just last month. "This isn't a criminal," I whispered. "This is a criminal network." "A franchise model," Patricia agreed. Karen was the original. She taught the others. They share information, strategies, legal tactics, and probably profits. Together, they've stolen or manipulated the sale of 56 properties over 8 years. Total estimated fraud, $6 million. "Why send me the photo?" I asked. "Why warn me they exist?" "Because you're the first person who fought back successfully. Karen getting arrested sends a message to all their future victims. You can fight HOA, abuse, and win. They can't let that message spread." "So what? They're going to silence me. They're going to discredit you. Or worse, they'll manufacture a new case against you. Make you look unstable. Make your testimony unreliable. If you're discredited, Karen walks." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Don't answer," Patricia started. Primera answered. A woman's voice, smooth and cold. "Mr. Chen, my name is Jennifer Walsh. I believe you received my photograph. I wanted to introduce myself properly." Patricia quickly switched her computer to record mode, putting the phone on speaker. "What do you want?" I asked. "To help you understand your situation, Karen made mistakes. She was sloppy, emotional. She let it become personal. That's why she's sitting in federal custody right now. And you? I don't make mistakes. No novosto, we're more careful than Karen ever was. We have better lawyers, better documentation, and something Karen never had. Plausible deniability. The FBI has evidence. The FBI has evidence against Karen. Not us. We're just concerned HOA presidents who happen to know her professionally. We attend the same conferences. Share best practices. Completely legal." Patricia scribbled a note. "Keep her talking. If you're so clean, why contact me? Because you're about to make a very public case against HOA overreach. You'll be on the news. Maybe you'll write a book. Become an activist. And that?" Her voice hardened. "That we cannot allow. You can't stop me from telling the truth. Can't we? Mr. Chen, let me paint you a picture. Tomorrow morning, you'll receive HOA complaints from 3 different communities. Noise disturbances at properties you've never visited. You'll be accused of harassment, stalking, making threats against HOA board members you've never met. Police reports will be filed. Restraining orders will be requested." That's insane. I haven't done anything. Proof is so subjective, isn't it? Karen taught us that by the time you untangle the false allegations, your credibility will be destroyed. The federal prosecutor will question whether you're a reliable witness. Karen's defense attorney will paint you as someone with a vendetta against HOAs in general. A conspiracy theorist, possibly unstable. Patricia's face was white with rage. She scribbled, "This is witness intimidation. Federal crime." Or, Jennifer continued sweetly, "You could accept a settlement. We're prepared to offer you $500,000. Cash, tax-free. All you have to do is sign an NDA and decline to testify against Karen. You want me to let her walk? We want you to be smart. Take the money. Move somewhere far away, live your life, or refuse, and watch us destroy you piece by piece, using the same system you tried to expose. Your choice. You have 72 hours. She hung up. Patricia immediately called the FBI. Special Agent Morrison arrived within an hour, a woman in her mid-40s, with sharp eyes and no-nonsense demeanor. "Play the recording." We did. Morrison listened without expression, then made 3 phone calls, speaking in clipped sentences. When she finished, she turned to us. "This changes everything. We thought Karen was a solo operator. If there's an organized network, this becomes a much bigger case. How solid is your evidence on the other 3? Patricia showed her the property records, the shell company documents, the patterns. Morrison studied them, her expression growing darker. "This is sophisticated. They've created legal separation between themselves. Karen is the only one who directly handled properties. The others used different shell companies, different methods. Connecting them will be difficult. But the phone call," I started, "is evidence of witness intimidation. That's a separate charge. But it doesn't prove they participated in Karen's original crimes. A good lawyer will argue Jennifer was just trying to help her friend, so they get away with it." My voice rose. "They've stolen $6 million, destroyed dozens of lives, and they just walk." Morrison held up a hand. "I didn't say that. I said it will be difficult. Difficult isn't impossible." Morrison outlined the strategy. "Alex, we need you to play along. Tell Jennifer you're considering the offer. Arrange a meeting. We're a wire. We need them to discuss the network openly. Admit to coordination. That gives us conspiracy. They'll suspect a trap. Probably, but you have something they want. Silence. And they're arrogant. Arrogance makes people sloppy." Patricia objected. "You're asking a civilian to confront organized criminals. That's dangerous." "It is, which is why Alex doesn't have to do it. We can build the case the slow way. Subpoena records, interview victims. Take 2, maybe 3 years. By then, they'll have hidden everything and destroyed evidence." Morrison looked at me. "Your choice. Fast and risky, or slow and maybe too late." I thought about Mr. Roberts, too scared to help openly, about James, Sarah, the Thompsons, about 17 confirmed victims, and probably dozens more who never came forward. "I'll do it." I texted Jennifer. "Need to meet. Willing to discuss your offer. But not over phone." Response came in 3 minutes. "Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Desert Rose. Restaurant. Come alone." Morrison briefed me for 6 hours. They fitted me with a wire so sophisticated it was undetectable, even by handheld scanners. "We'll have agents in the restaurant. 4 tables, you won't recognize them. If things go bad, say the word Harmony, and we'll move in immediately." "What if they search me?" "They won't. They think they've already won. You're just a scared victim taking the money." Patricia hugged me before I left. "You don't have to be a hero." "I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm trying to stop them from doing this." 2. Victim number 57. Desert Rose was expensive. The kind of place with valet parking and cloth napkins. Jennifer Walsh sat at a corner table, elegant in a navy suit. No red blazer tonight. She looked like a successful businesswoman, not a criminal. "Mr. Chen, thank you for coming." I sat down, trying to control my nerves. The wire felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I'm here to listen. Smart man. Wine. It's excellent here. Just water? She smiled. Nervous. Understandably, you're making a difficult choice. Let me make it easier. She slid an envelope across the table. I opened it. A cashier's check for $500,000. That's real. Deposit it tomorrow. The money's yours regardless. All we ask is that you sign this NDA and submit a statement to the prosecutor declining to testify. Why are you doing this? Karen's already caught. Because Karen was reckless. She let it become emotional. We don't operate that way. We're busy, no. This is just business. Business built on stealing people's homes. Her eyes flickered. Is that what you think? We don't steal anything. We acquire undervalued properties through legal mechanisms. HOA enforcement, foreclosure laws exist for a reason. You manufacture the violations. We enforce community standards. If people can't maintain those standards, they shouldn't live in managed communities. It's Darwinism. Economic evolution. Primera, need ed more. Morrison's voice echoed in my head. Get them to admit coordination. How long have you been doing this together? Jennifer sipped her wine. Long enough to perfect the system. Karen started in 2016. She shared her methods with me in 2018. I brought in Dorothy in 2019. Rebecca joined in 2021. We're partners. We share information, strategies, even properties sometimes. A criminal conspiracy? She laughed. A business network. Karen just happened to get caught because she made it personal with you. We won't make that mistake. What if I testify anyway? The smile vanished. Then we'll destroy you. And we'll do it legally. Noise complaints across multiple jurisdictions. Harassment allegations. Restraining orders. We'll tie you up in litigation for years. Your life will become a living hell. And in the end, juries sigh with HOAs 90% of the time, even when the HOA is committing fraud. Especially then. Because by the time we're done, you won't be a sympathetic victim. You'll be a troublemaker with a pattern of behavior. Take the money. Alex, it's over. The bust harmony, I said clearly. Jennifer frowned. What? FBI agents appeared from 4 directions. Morrison showed her badge. Jennifer Walls, you're under arrest for witness intimidation, conspiracy to commit fraud, and RICO violations. Jennifer's face went white. This is entrapment. This is you confessing to a federal crime on tape. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They handcuffed her. As they led her past my table, she hissed, "You have no idea what you've started. We have lawyers. Resources. This won't stick." Maybe not, I said. But Dorothy and Rebecca are being arrested right now, too. Morrison, tell her. Morrison nodded. Simultaneous arrests in Riverside Estates and Mountain View Commons. All 3 of you, plus Karen, will face federal charges together. 3 days later, I received another envelope. Same anonymous delivery. Same handwriting. Inside was a newspaper clipping from 2010, 16 years ago, a photo of a much younger Karen at an HOA conference. She was standing with a group of 7 women, all wearing red blazers. 3 of them were Jennifer, Dorothy, and Rebecca, but 4 faces were blocked out with black marker. Written on the back, "Did you really think there were only 4 of us? The network is bigger than you imagine, and now you've made enemies of all of us. Sleep well, Alex. Who else is part of this network? Comment your theories below." I helped the FBI arrest 4 HOA presidents running a $6 million fraud ring. Then I discovered there were 4 more members we didn't know about. The network was bigger than anyone imagined, and they wanted revenge. Special Agent Morrison stared at the newspaper clipping on her desk. The photo from 2010 showed 7 women in red blazers at an HOA conference. We arrested 4. That leaves 3 more. Patricia leaned forward. "Can you identify them from the photo? The faces are marked out, but we can enhance the image. Cross-reference conference attendee lists from 2010. Morrison made several calls. Within 48 hours, the FBI identified all 7 women. The network was even more sophisticated than we thought. Morrison called an emergency meeting. She had photographs spread across the conference table. The original 7 called themselves the Standards Committee. They met at HOA conferences, shared strategies, and coordinated their operations across Arizona, Nevada, and California. She pointed to each photo. Karen Martinez, arrested. Jennifer Walsh, arrested. Dorothy Crane, arrested. Rebecca Stone, arrested. Then 3 new faces. Linda Hayes, President in Las Vegas. Patricia Dunn, HOA President in San Diego, and Michelle Torres, HOA President in Tucson. What's their status? I asked. Hayes and Dunn went underground the moment they heard about the arrests. Torres is still operating. She filed noise complaints against 3 homeowners just yesterday. Patricia looked grim. They're accelerating, trying to complete their current operations before we can stop them. Not for long, Morrison said. Federal warrants were issued this morning for all 3. We'll have them in custody within 72 hours. The FBI coordinated simultaneous raids across 3 states. Linda Hayes was arrested at her home in Las Vegas at 6 a.m. Agents found $200,000 in cash hidden in her garage, along with files on 17 target properties. Patricia Dunn tried to flee San Diego, but was caught at the airport. She had a one-way ticket to Costa Rica and $350,000 in her carry-on luggage. Michelle Torres surrendered peacefully in Tucson when agents arrived. Unlike the others, she immediately requested a lawyer and offered to cooperate. All 7 members of the Standards Committee were now in federal custody. 6 months later, the trial began in Phoenix federal court. The prosecution presented devastating evidence. Property records showing the pattern of acquisitions, financial documents proving the shell companies, recorded conversations, and testimony from 43 victims across 3 states. Karen's defense tried to argue she was just enforcing HOA rules strictly. The recorded conversation between Jennifer and me destroyed that argument. Michelle Torres, who took a plea deal, testified about how the network operated. They met quarterly, shared victim profiles, and even traded properties between their shell companies to obscure the pattern. It was a business, she told the jury. We treated it like a franchise. Karen was the innovator. She taught us everything. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Karen Martinez guilty on all counts: wire fraud, mail fraud, extortion, RICO conspiracy. Sentence: 23 years. In federal prison, restitution of $1,800,000. Jennifer Walsh. Guilty. Sentence: 18 years. Restitution of $950,000. Dorothy Crane. Guilty. Sentence: 16 years. Restitution of $720,000. Rebecca Stone. Guilty. Sentence: 16 years. Restitution of $890,000. Linda Hayes. Guilty. Sentence: 14 years. Restitution of $640,000. Patricia Dunn. Guilty. Sentence: 15 years. Restitution of $750,000. Michelle Torres. Plea deal. Sentence: 5 years. Full cooperation. Restitution of $400,000. Total restitution ordered, $6,150,000. The case made national headlines. HOA fraud ring busted appeared on every major news network. Victims began coming forward from communities the FBI hadn't even investigated yet. The final count reached 68 families across 4 states. Civil lawsuits followed. The HOA management companies that had enabled the fraud settled for millions. Insurance companies paid out claims. Victims started recovering their losses. The case sparked legislative reform. Arizona passed the Homeowner Protection Act, requiring independent oversight of HOA boards, mandatory recording of all enforcement actions, rights to appeal fines to neutral arbitrators, criminal penalties for HOA officials who abused their authority. Nevada and California passed similar laws within a year. I stood in front of Harmony Heights Community Center. The neighborhood had changed. A new HOA board had been elected. Mr. Roberts was president. The first thing they did was rescind every fine Karen had ever issued. My $8,750 was refunded with interest. The community held a meeting to apologize to all of Karen's victims. Several families who'd been forced to sell received compensation from the HOA's insurance policy. Patricia Morgan's law firm established a nonprofit, the HOA Accountability Project, offering free legal help to homeowners facing abuse. I was invited to speak at their launch event. When Karen Martinez targeted me, I thought I was alone. I thought the system was designed to protect people like her and crush people like me. The audience filled with former victims, homeowners, and activists listened intently. But I learned something important. We're never as alone as predators want us to believe. Karen and her network succeeded for years because victims fought individually. The moment we fought together, they fell. Applause filled the room. If you're facing HOA abuse, document everything. Find allies. Seek legal help. And remember, no HOA rule, no matter how official it looks, gives anyone the right to steal your home. Before Karen was transferred to federal prison, I requested a meeting. The prosecutor arranged it. She sat across from me in an orange jumpsuit, looking smaller somehow without her red blazer. Primera. Asked. You had money, success, a normal life. Why do this? Karen smiled that same cold smile I'd seen 100 times. Because I could. Because the system lets people like me win. Because homeowners are sheep who follow rules without question. Not anymore. I'll be out in 12 years with good behavior, still young enough to start again. There won't be a system to exploit. We changed the laws. For the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Fear? Regret? You ruined everything, she whispered. No. Karen? I stopped you from ruining anything else. I still live in Harmony Heights. My house, the one Karen tried to steal, is worth $400,000 now. Mr. Roberts and I are friends. We have coffee every Sunday and work on community improvement projects. The house across the street, Karen's former residence, was sold to a young family with 3 kids. Sometimes I hear them laughing in their backyard. It's a nice sound. Patricia calls occasionally with updates. The HOA Accountability Project has helped 230 families in its first year. Several states are considering similar legislation to Arizona's reforms. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that photograph. 7 women in red blazers who thought they were untouchable. All 7 are now in prison. The system they exploited has been reformed. The victims they created are being made whole. Justice, it turns out, isn't always swift, but when it comes, it's thorough. If you're facing HOA abuse, document everything with dates and times, file police reports for every false complaint. Seek legal counsel immediately. Connect with other victims in your community. Contact the HOA Accountability Project. You have rights. Your home is yours, and no HOA president, no matter how powerful they seem, is above the law. Share this story. If you know someone fighting HOA abuse, your comment could help someone who feels alone right now.